What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today I've got a little bit different video for you guys. I've had several requests for this video and it's getting back into the boat. So before I move this thing outside for the winter, I want to go ahead and make this video for you guys, but it's going to be a full walkthrough of everything on the boat, any of the modifications that I've made, and everything that I've done to it. So let's jump right in and get started. We'll go ahead and get started at the front. So when I purchased the boat, it came with this trolling motor. It's the Minn Kota Power Drive V2 with the co-pilot. So it does have the remote. And then I went ahead and added the transducer to it for my 7-inch Humminbird, the Helix 7 side imaging. And I made a video about installing all of that. So, and this is the transducer cable and then the power cable for my 7-inch Humminbird. Also up front, I went ahead and added these docking lights. I also use them as navigation lights. Getting around in the dark makes it a lot simpler. The way I did it, I've got them on these quick disconnect mounts, so I can actually pull the lights off if I don't want them to be up there. And I didn't actually drill or tap any of the holes. I pulled one of these screws out and used that hole to mount the light to. And then as far as the wiring goes, I've got them on quick disconnect pigtails. Let's see if I can get it out of here. Maybe. Anyway, up underneath of here, there's quick disconnect pigtails. Come down the side of the boat, and so I can completely remove the lights, and the only thing that stays on is just that bottom mount. Also, along the sides of the boat and up front, see all these LED lights, pretty much deck lights. So I added all these. Found them cheap on the internet, but they're just push button LED, so they work great. They just use AAA batteries. So that pretty much covers the front. And also on the front deck, I added the rod tie down straps. So that's basically it up front. Trolling motor, fish finder, lights, and deck lights. So now let's move into the middle. So the first thing I did, one of the first modifications, was this boat does not have much for storage. So I created this tackle storage. You can see all my tackle boxes, keep pliers, I can keep plastics and stuff on top, and scale, and it works awesome. And then, so I did this kind of before I was really making videos about it, but I am going to do some more modifications to that. And then the second thing I did in the middle is this rod locker. So you guys saw all the videos for this. Basically, I can hold, like, I think I've had a dozen rods in there at once, but it works awesome. And you can see from this side the tackle compartment, and then there's also storage up front under the front deck. And the next thing I did was added a stereo system to it. So I've got a Pioneer speaker. It's just that one single speaker there in the side of the console, and then just a cheap MP3 Bluetooth CD deck. And then also at the pilot station, I've got a 5-inch Humminbird, just a down imaging sonar. So one other big modification I did to the boat when it was fairly new was the wiring and relay and fuse panel. So you can see there, I rewired the whole boat and put in a new fuse block, so it works awesome as far as having more slots to run more accessories and having better control over everything. So I can just add switches as I need. So you can see got all the switches right there in the panel, so it works pretty slick. That's just kind of a view of the console. And then I also added new seats to the boat. When I bought it, the seats were pretty much trashed, so I just bought these cheap Cabela's seats. They work great. They flip down, so you still have the under seat storage. Uses the same bolt pattern that the OEM seats used. So they work pretty slick. And then in the back of the boat, it's got the live well, and then back here is the engine auxiliary compartment. So store batteries. That's where the fuel tank is. I pulled the batteries out already, but I got 2 batteries in here, so one for trolling motor, one for cranking and auxiliaries. This is the fuel tank, and this engine used to be oil injected, so there was an oil injection tank right here. When I bought it, the compression was low on one cylinder, so I ended up rebuilding the whole engine. I'll pull this engine cap off and I'll show you guys. So here's a look at it. It's a 40 horse 2-stroke. So I rebuilt the carburetors, bored out the engine block 30 thousandths over, new pistons, new rings, all new bearings and seals. And you can see I got rid of this is where the oil injection combination fuel pump was. I switched over, just went to the stock vacuum controlled fuel pump. And it works awesome. I've never had any issues with it since I've rebuilt it. And you can see I've got 21.5 hours on it since the rebuild. So everything's pretty slick there. So that's basically everything I've done. If you guys have any questions or you want to see anything in more detail, let me know. I know there was some questions about how the lights up front were wired. So what I did is these wires are just spliced into my anchor light wire. So if you guys pull this panel off, you'll have access to all the wiring up here. And up front is where your, I guess it's not the anchor light, it's the navigation light, the red green light. So I've got these tied in to the red green navigation light, which works awesome. So on my switch here, right there would be red green navigation, and right there would be with the dock lights on. And they work slick. So a lot of the lakes that I've been on, you're either fishing deep in the cattails and it starts to get dark on you, or you're back in all these little cuts. It definitely helps you get out. I also carry a handheld spotlight around with me just in case, but these lights they've been a lifesaver more than once. And then, oh, I didn't even talk about this up here. So when I store the boat, I store it outside in the wintertime. So I made this, it's just a 2x4. And then I've got some dowel rod that goes into my seat post holders. And what it does is holds the center of my boat cover up, so the rain and snow and everything just sheds right off. I don't get big pockets of water sitting inside up under the cover. So that works really slick. But I was debating, going back and forth on whether or not I was going to redo the carpet this winter. There is a soft spot in the floor back here in the driver's. Right here is kind of a soft spot. It'll still hold your weight, but I'd like to redo it all. I want to get rid of the carpet. We spend a lot of time on the sandbars and stuff in the rivers, just having fun with friends. So I'm probably going to switch over to vinyl flooring. And when I do that, I'll talk about some of the modifications I plan to make with you guys. So when I redo the front deck here, my plan is to add a storage lid right here so I can access this. Instead of having to use this access panel right here, I'll be able to access the storage from the top deck. And to do that, I think I'm gonna have to move my seat pedestal up closer to the front of the boat, which really, when I'm fishing and doing stuff, I don't use that seat a ton. I use it once in a while. So that part of it's not a big deal, but I definitely need to keep it on the deck to be able to hoist my cover up. And then the second big modification when I redo the flooring is this tackle storage. You can see I can fit 3, 6, 7 boxes in there. Well, I've got a lot more tackle than that now. And so my plan is I'm going to extend this box all the way over to the rod locker. So this whole gap right here will all be filled in with tackle storage. And then that'll also extend my deck back, so I'll have more front deck space, which will be slick. Because it is, I mean, it's a small boat, which I enjoy. I like the small boat for going on smaller waters and stuff, and I've even taken it on big waters. It's been out in Lake Huron, it's been on Lake St. Clair, so it's been on some pretty big waters. But small boat, you can tuck into the brush and stumps and back in the creeks and stuff, so it works awesome. But those are the next big modifications, and I will make videos for those. So it's probably going to be early spring. I'm going to redo the carpet, and I'll probably redo that rod locker and everything at the same time. So far it's been an awesome boat. I did not pay a ton of money for it. It didn't run right when I bought it, and I knew there were some issues with it, so I think I paid $2,000 for it. Had to rebuild the engine, which cost me about $500 or $600, and then all the added modifications I've done to it really haven't been that expensive, but it just gives me something to do, tinkering around on it and keep improving it and getting it to where I want it to be. So, but like I said, if you guys have any questions, you want to see anything else on it, just let me know. I can answer them in the comment section below, or if it's really in-depth, I can create another video. But yeah, the wiring on these boats, everything runs through this side panel here and then comes up underneath. So I've got it all tied into that fuse panel that I added, and it also uses standard automotive fuses, so it doesn't use the glass fuse. So that was one other big reason for switching over. I think that's gonna wrap this video up, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Stay tuned. If you want to see more boat content, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing it, I would guess, probably in March would be my target to start working on it, because I'm going to need to be able to work outside so I can have the boat in here and be able to cut all the decking and do everything outside so I don't cover everything in this garage with dust. So, but thanks for stopping by. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We'll catch you guys on the next one.